These teams haven't found a win. So for Brisbane Deceptors, now is the time. And you got Slurpee Monster back on the roster, and you got two players who are eager to facilitate him. I think this is going to define it. Brisbane Deceptors, Melbourne Avant. Show your support if you're in the audience. I know Brisbane Deceptors has some fans out there, and right now we're looking for their support into week 3.
And Brisbane Deceptors, they got two new players in. That experience of Slurpee Monster is really going to be tested here because he's got to marshal them through their paces. This is their first time playing on the Elite Series stage, and I guess we'll find out what they're made of. And Sammy right now, Zen, they've worked themselves into good positions. We've seen glimpses of brilliance, but they could have got themselves off to an ideal start here against the Deceptors, both searching for a win. And Sammy just getting a bit too smart there, but let's see if Avant can start to really work their passing game.
Well, Avant already piggybacking off the ball. Blitz committing up, but has no boost left. And Sammy, it's be a wide pass up to Zen. Good positioning right now for Melbourne Avant. They come back in, and Sammy doesn't get the ideal touch, and Blitz goes up. And right now, Brisbane Deceptors getting first to the ball, but that's not a good start. Zen almost snips it through. It'll be Smith who saves the ball. But again, Zen's back in. He goes for the mechanical skill. It goes in eventually. Sammy for number 1. And
in Rocket League, we don't need goal line technology.
Well,
unlike the Socceroos last night. But either way,
too soon.
It still hurts. Honestly, it still hurts. But for Avant, it's a great start for them, and they're searching for their first win. This might be the week to find it. Likewise for the Brisbane Deceptors. And for these guys, if they can get themselves a nice early goal, find themselves an answer, they can relieve a lot of pressure. And I say pressure in terms of what they're putting on themselves. They are here on the Elite Series stage. They want to perform. They need to get themselves going. It's difficult for a new team, particularly if they're making, sweeping changes, changing two players. Chemistry is going to be tested.
Well, Kupo, it's his first time on a stage, as well as Smith there. I love how Smith has at Gfin in his name as well, just in case we forgot. But for Zen on the defense, will get it through easily. Sammy now in a great position. His passing play, but no one's there for the third. That clear will be responded easily by Brisbane Deceptors, and Blitz just hands it off. Now for Kupo. Can he get it for Slurpee? And Blitz is already up to the ball. Melbourne Avant still lead by 1, and now immediately the counterattack comes through from Sammy. Zen will hang back, and Smith there with the drop. Blitz, the pass there against the wall. Zen bumps out of the way, but what does it mean? It means that Sammy can hit it against that backboard. Set it up for Blitz, but an intercept from Slurpee Monster keeps the ball alive.
The rotations from Avant are looking good. They're hitting that ball, hitting that backboard, moving to the next position, always looking for that next passage of play. It's good to see early on for these guys because they're already a goal lead up, and this is where the pressure is really going to start to mount on Brisbane Deceptors. I haven't seen that rotation from them yet. They haven't set themselves into a pattern. Game 1 has historically proven to be that a testing ground to see whether or not people are up to the task.
Yeah, I think so.
Right now,
I think more so in this series than any other here today. For Brisbane Deceptors, no win as of yet. They've come close, they've put up a fight, but hasn't been enough. Zen now for the shot, setting it up for Sammy, but the defense, Slurpee, goes past the ball. Blitz will have another. Kupo, great place to be right now as Smith clears it all the way to the other side of the field. Zen needs to insinuate this clear a little bit more, and does. Off this right wing, what can they get done? Kupo goes past the ball again. Zen hands it over to Blitz, but Blitz just swings by. And what's keeping Brisbane Deceptors alive right now is the fact that Melbourne Avant just can't shut out this goal.
And tell you what, that might prove to be the difference between these two teams, is the fact that Deceptors could get 1 or 2 chances, and if they convert, that's the difference. The fact that Melbourne Avant have just been constantly piling on pressure, haven't been able to convert that second goal yet, just says to me that maybe they're feeling the pressure a little bit. Maybe they're just not on today yet. But
maybe they are. That backboard is being peppered. But unfortunately, the finisher wasn't there. The 1-2-3 doesn't commit. And Sammy now gets an easy clear that sets up Melbourne Avant once again. Zen goes forward, and the individual mechanical player passes it over to Blitz. Melbourne Avant, second goal.
Yeah, just the goalkeeper there, not quite getting out to it, unfortunately. Not a lot he could do. I think he lost the ball, lost track of that. And Blitz finds his first goal of the Elite Series.
There you go. Really?
There you go.
Well, fun facts from Jim Nesso. I have to say, right now for Melbourne Avant, I mean, Blitz putting his career on the line. Like,
it's a big bet.
Well, honestly, it's a big start for Melbourne Avant, so he'll feel safe for now. But for Slurpee, the runaway, what can Brisbane Deceptors do? Kupo's coming up the ball, gets the demo onto Blitz. What does this enable? The shot there. Smith commits again. The double touch denied as Slurpee will come back off, but Smith There's some good play there, but greater defense from Melbourne Avant.
Very nearly breaching that defense. They were so close. Whether they can do it again, that will be the question on everybody's lips right now, as that ball is constantly put against the backboard here. Blitz could be in the right area. There's no one on that. And Zen gets a chance on goal. It is denied by Slurpee though, so great defending there when the time was needed. And you can see right now, Brisbane Deceptors, they have 3 players practically in the goal mouth, and that is the level of pressure. The problem with that is you don't get any boost. You don't get any reprieve. You have to hope the ball clears and then set yourselves out from there.
Those demolitions setting up Brisbane Deceptors in front of Melbourne Avant's net. Also doing the same Melbourne Avant, and that's how they almost got the goal. I say almost very lightly there. 10 seconds remaining in Melbourne Avant. Just been time that Brisbane Deceptors don't have anymore. And for game number 1, Melbourne Avant, they'll take the win, but for Brisbane Deceptors, there's some very close calls. Melbourne Avant aren't out of the woods yet. This ball's going to hit the ground, and game 1 will go over to Melbourne Avant.
Or will it? Find out next week.
Well, it will. Eventually, we'll get there. Zen showing off. Hang on. Not bad. All right.
Not bad.
You're not going to get the win in game 1, but I tell you what, you're going to get some style points from Jim Nesso.
That is 100% style points, but that's more importantly confidence. It's his first goal of the Elite Series as a player, first week in appearance too. So for Smiths, that's a massive win, even though they didn't get the W on the board. In terms of a personal win there, for him, that's going to be confidence in game 2. And we've seen from these 2 teams glimpses of Rocket League, which has been fantastic. They've strung passes together, they've looked good, but they haven't been able to string that together for 5 constant minutes. As we can see, Smith's there, he actually got 5 shots off. He was the only player putting pressure on that board for the Deceptors, whereas Avant, they were still getting shots off. But
yep.
you can see it was very much one-way traffic.
But all it takes is that one moment that Smith showed in the end. If it was 1-1, it'd be a very different story, and some close calls. Just a little bit unlucky here with how the ball bounced. And also the shot set up from Melbourne Avant.
Yeah, unfortunately, when the cookie doesn't quite crumble your way, it can get difficult. But you can just see there that Plitz read that really well. Goalkeeper Slurpee, unfortunately, didn't quite get there in the end. And
it was Zen. I want to point out, Zen was just trying to go for some red-hot dribble and just fell on his face. So the classic best mechanical player in OCE, one of the best mechanical players in OCE.
It's quite a few.
But Melbourne Avant, all right, that's game 1. But anything could happen in game 2. Brisbane Deceptors showed that. And do you want to make Plitz retire? Do you want a 2v3 next week? Well, we'll find out. It's Melbourne Avant. I think it's been about Plitz a lot in the past couple of weeks. Sure, they haven't picked up a win, but there has been some good plays. Let's find out if Melbourne Avant can keep the train rolling, or if Brisbane Deceptors decide they've had enough. Game 2 begins now.
The time is now for the Deceptors, and almost immediately there, you could see they're just setting off, getting that boost. The pressure from Avant, just looking for some passes in that midfield, not to be found. Slurpee will find that clearance here, so a chance for Deceptors to potentially build, but
this is not good. Kupo's already gone over the ball. This sets up Melbourne Avant. Can they get the dribble off Kupo? Over the top! Great play. Brisbane Deceptors, the first goal in game 2.
And this is just capitalising on players that are pushed too far forward. Avant were just pushing too far for that goal. They got punished on the counter, and you can see even then, Brisbane Deceptors had 2 players ready, waiting for that goal, and they find themselves a nice handy lead here. Whether or not they can maintain it, they need to get more numbers on the board against a team like Avant. Going forward in game 1, we saw they had confidence, and that's only going to keep going here in game 2. So Brisbane Deceptors need to find themselves a nice goal. It might just give them a little bit of a buffer from that Avant attack.
But everyone's come up from Brisbane Deceptors. They've decided to push for the attack, and Melbourne Avant almost get a free net as they push back down to the side of the field. Brisbane Deceptors on the defense once again, and Sammy will make sure it goes no further. The pass over to Plitz, not intercepted. Kupo actually going to get one off to himself. He's run out of boost, but Smith comes back in. It's a light touch, but Smith might be able to do something for Slurpee Monster. Coming close again. Melbourne Avant will get the clear.
Kupo just making sure that ball stays in midfield. And from Avant's perspective now, looking to push for those passes, but Slurpee is just going to push that away. Now, the rest of his team still looking for boosts, but great backboard defense here coming out from Brisbane Deceptors. They need to make sure that is on point, but tell you what, Zen, he left unchecked, and that is some great passing play, some great awareness there from Plitz, and he's just the enabler, setting up Zen for a great goal. And
it was all Plitz there that got to pass two members of defense, and right then and there, Melbourne Avant knew they had that goal. One apiece. And in game two, the individual plays seem to be paying off, but I think Melbourne Avant, this is the first time in a week that I've said they're actually playing as a three-man unit. And this is development, this is growth that we talk about each and every week. The intercept there from Slurpee Monster. What does it create for Brisbane Deceptors? It'll stay in front of the net, sort of, as it goes back across midfield. Kupo over to Smith, but he's gone over the ball. And this will enable Melbourne Avant to go back on that offense.
As I was saying, with glimpses of brilliance, shows their potential. But some pressure being applied here right now as Plitz just look for that bump. But very nearly the second touch there from Sammy. Almost a goal lead for Avant, but again, they're just keeping that ball in the right area.
Oh, defense. Just so close there, Gimnesso. For Brisbane Deceptors, they need to short out. They need to get that clear because right now they're running over them. It'll hit the backboard again. And you got to say, for Melbourne Avant, they had ample opportunity there, but Brisbane Deceptors, they hold on. Plitz will bring it back down. Now for Zen, can he get it? Reads the low shot and it goes high. Sammy on the defense. Smith's going to go for the solo play. He pops it up, but no one's there yet. Slurpee coming in hot as Kupo in the midfield. He's pushing up and Blitz will get the defensive clear. It's a short one. It enables Brisbane Deceptors to come back down, and in front of this net, things are tense here in game two.
That scramble defense from Brisbane is being tested time and time again, but it's only going to be a matter of time before that potentially could be breached, and Slurpee actually gets an outlet here. Can't quite pop it over Sammy. Sammy equaled that challenge, and now Brisbane Deceptors are pushing numbers forward, just trying to find that backboard, trying to find that next passing play. This is good to see. Avant are dealing with it really well, and they're not quite as pressured as
Smith.
Deceptors
Again, the crossbar. Brisbane Deceptors. They just can't get a break. A minute 30 remaining. Melbourne Avant got the runaway for Zen. There it is again, but Hoop really stepping up to the plate, and you have to say all three members of Brisbane Deceptors, they've warmed up into this series, and right now that's what's creating this intensity. For Sammy and Plitz, they sit around the midfield. That's not going to be a good pass, but it cannot be intercepted by Slurpee Monster. And again, it just puts Melbourne Avant back on the offense.
Brisbane Deceptors need not be disheartened by those misses. We saw Chiefs missing as well in that first game. So if they can find those connections, put those balls in the back of the net, they're looking like the better team in these early instances of game number two. But that is a searching ball. Good
block there by Sammy as well. Will enable the dribble. Smith comes back in. Zen goes up, and this will clear it over to that left wing. But for Slurpee, interaction was key there as Kupo comes back in, but he's missed the ball. This will get Zen going, but a wide pass. Maybe the shot would have been better in that instance.
Zen has been that real outlet for Melbourne Avant. He's had 4 shots already to his name. He's looking good, but that'll be a question of the defense that, again, Sammy finally answers, and that pressure after all this time finally just unsettles the Deceptors. They could only scramble for so long. Kupo, unfortunate touch there. They just put it right in the way of Semi.
Oh, that was a 1-2-3 though, and that touch from Plitz to start it off. It was so light, it was so brisk. Melbourne Avant, the growth of their team, again, showcased. 2-1, 30 seconds remaining, and Brisbane Deceptors, have they run out of time here as Melbourne Avant push for their attack once again?
Hopefully they're not out of touch, but they may be out of time. And Deceptors now, they do have some time to work with. They've proven they can score after the buzzer, but this is quite some ask of them as they do get that ball only just off their own goal line. So one last bite of the cherry.
Slurpee, close call. It won't hit the ground just yet, but everyone's up here from Brisbane Deceptors, and they come close again. Only a 1-goal game separating as Melbourne Avant take game 2 as well.
Much better game from the Deceptors.
Oh, yeah.
They finally got some passing together. They finally applied some pressure to the Avant defence. And Avant, they also looked quite good in front of goals. It was mainly Zen that was their outlet. And we said he's quite mechanically gifted. He was certainly showing it there. In fact, a few solo runs from him down the sidelines as well, just to try and relieve his team of some pressure, really made a lot of difference there.
Not only that, let's just put something in the air. For Sammy, I mean, that last goal, I think that's something that we don't really talk about. Sammy, you know, he's always in the defense. He's always the, I'm going to get bagged after this, always the glue there for Melbourne Avant. No, but in all seriousness, Sammy had a pretty good game, pretty consistent game, and it came through for Melbourne Avant when they needed it. That last goal, only 30 seconds. Brisbane Deceptors held out for so long But then it was that one goal that shattered everything.
Yeah, look, both credit to Sammy and Zen. Sammy had 4 shots in that match. Zen also had 5 shots. So those guys are doing a lot of the work in front of the goals. Sammy also putting up some solid defense as well with 3 saves. And in a game that's so close, that's a big difference.
Well, for Melbourne Avant, 2-0. Can they get the 3-0 following Chiefs' footsteps? We'll find out right after this break.
Welcome back to the Gfinity Elite Series Rocket League edition. We're seeing here a goal from Sammy for Melbourne Avant Gaming, currently in the lead. Going into the next game, could it be the final game? We'll find out in a sec. Right now, let's cross back to Ash, who's chilling backstage. How you doing, Ash? Are you doing wells?
Thank you. I am doing wells, and in fact, I am being a regular pest here in the warm-up room. None of the guys felt like talking to me. I guess they're too busy being focused, and I guess they'll let their playing do the talking today. For those that don't know, actually, here in the warm-up room, each team has about an hour to prepare for their match ahead. So they'll be warming up their fingers, getting their heads in the game. Right now, behind me, we have Sydney Raw. We also have Melbourne Order. They're our third match of the day. So I'm interested to see how it's going to pan out. I'll let them get to work. And Luke, get to work. Back to you, man.
Thanks very much, Ash. Right now, Dave, let's talk about how it's been going. Is this how you saw it playing out so far?
I mean, to some degree, the fact that it was a 2-0, but I really, Deceptors have been playing surprisingly well for a team that's come together last minute, for two players that hadn't played on this stage before. They were nervous to start. You saw Smiths and Kupo just missing that first open net that gave Avant that first game, but they've been having more opportunities overall.
But can they come back?
Well, I don't know. Plitz finally has his first goal.
Well done, Plitz.
He's now got a 5% shot accuracy, which is much better than 0%.
You're really piling on here. Yeah.
It's Plitz. He doesn't actually have a big head, but he needs to be brought down to my level,
Cut him
I
down
guess.
anyway. Yeah, cool. All right, well, we're going to get right back into the action. It's Brisbane taking on Melbourne here at the Gfinity Elite Series. Back to you, Jake and Jim.
Thanks very much, Jens, and I can't wait to look at this next series because Game 3 will define how Brisbane Deceptors can make their way back. They're synergising well, as Yummy said. And I think for a team that's kind of just been put together, this is a big surprise to both of us.
It is a big surprise, but also what is a big surprise is the fact that the crowd actually keep moving back one seat every time we go away.
You're fascinated. You said this at the start. You're like, why is the crowd now in the third row onwards?
They keep moving away. It must be the seedy shirt.
It is a horrible shirt, sir. Yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but your shirts are getting better yet worse each week.
Well, that's the thing. We're looking for week-on-week improvement, right? And that's across the board. Not just in terms of, obviously, player development, but in terms of wardrobe development as well.
Whoever's doing wardrobe right now, my friend, I've got to say, we've got some questions. Let's get into Game 3, though. Rocket League what matters right now. Melbourne Avant, strong showcasing, but the crowd's gone for Brisbane Deceptors. I can hear it. And Brisbane Deceptors, now is their time to shine. Will this be another 3-0? Will they find their way back? They have questions, but do they have answers? For Smiths, good touch up. They're getting away from the intercept. That's what's going to be important here.
Important that Kupo and Smiths get themselves settled early in this game. We saw them, as Yummy said, just missing some open net opportunities. And for them, it's about setting themselves in a rhythm now. They're in their third match. Asking a few questions of the defense. We saw them both score goals respectively, both Smiths and Kupo. So right now for them, it's just about getting themselves involved as much as possible in game number 3. But that is icing on the cake for Melbourne Avant. Just applied pressure. Great backward pass there from Sammy. It was deep. And Zen, he just goes unchecked. And you can't let a guy with that mechanical skill get away with that.
No, you cannot. Zen is known as... there's someone in the audience out there who's going for Zen. I can't remember which, but a lot of people. Yeah. All right, boys, settle down. He's got 1 goal, not 10. With that first one going over to Zen, we'll kick things off for Melbourne Avant. And immediately, they're on the back foot on the side of Brisbane Deceptors. But now for Sammy. Can he score another? Pretty strong showcasing in game number 2 for Plitz on the defense. The cross is there, but Kupo not up to the ball. Slurpee Monster, last defender. It'll go through, and now Smith has to recover this one. But it's set up nicely, and again for Melbourne Avant. It just had to happen.
Very, very soft touch there from Plitz too, just to float that one over the defence. Not a lot that could be done after that, unfortunately.
You put the wrist up there.
Exactly. Unfortunately, no biscuit at the end of it. But Deceptors now 2 goals behind in game number 3, so important that they find themselves next goal. Important that they find themselves just some momentum, some confidence. They've shown glimpses of their brilliance, and they've shown why they're here. But now it's just for them to stand up to the test that is Avant.
Hang on, Zen hasn't won that ball. Kupo's over on the right wing. Slurpee's committing up as well. Can they get anything done? Plitz doesn't win the ball over, but Sammy should be able to recover with a clear that sets it up for Plitz. He'll get the touch, and Kupo has to make sure he's able to respond. He'll go wide, send it up, but Smith and Slurpee just not there first. The infield pass goes over to Plitz, and I think immediately for Melbourne Avant, they're just there to the ball first. They're reading into the future, and Brisbane Deceptors just can't think a step ahead.
Yeah, I want that crystal ball as well that they seem to possess, but that is a very, very telling case here. They're one step ahead of their opposition right now, and can they continue that? Well, with interceptions like that, it makes it so much easier to keep that pressure applied, keep that ball in the right area. Zen, Blitz, Sammy, they're all hammering that backboard. They're all peppering that goal. And it's a big period of defense here for the Deceptors.
They're smashing those shots in. Some good defense out of Smith to kick us off, but 2 minutes 30, they're running out of time. Zen's already gone back and Plitz commits up the challenge. One there by Slurpee. Can he continue it forward? A full tank of boost. It gets let go over to Kupo. Smith in the midfield, runs up to the net. For Smith, the shot there onto the backboard, but who's coming back up? He's going to take it himself, and it goes wide. Kupo comes up as well, and maybe no trust as everyone from Melbourne Avant are now having the field day. They walk their way up, only the interception from Brisbane Deceptors, but that touch was necessary, and right now losing faith in Brisbane Deceptors and Melbourne Avant continue to run away.
Yeah, Sleepy Monster obviously just looking for some openings, doing whatever he can, pushing that ball up forward, but he's also looking for those bumps on the goalkeeper as well, just try and upset the defense. They need to make something happen here, and they're certainly feeling the pressure. Time is ticking away. They can't find a goal soon. The pressure just continues to mount on them. For a young team on this stage, it can get out of control. But here's a breakaway for Smiths.
Well, immediately they had an opportunity. They got the demo onto Plitz, and nothing was done by Brisbane Deceptors. A minute 30, Smith's going again for the dribble, but just taken. And Plitz winning it over, angles it in. Zen there to dunk. Kupo, he'll save it, but nothing coming out of it. Now for Melbourne Avant, keeping it down this side. The shot comes out again. Kupo getting his saviour medal on the way. But is it going to be enough? The pop-up, and again lost out to Plitz.
So he will clear that one, just trying to keep that ball in the midfield. They actually let it run through Avant, and now that just gives Brisbane Deceptors a momentary reprieve. Slurpee takes one out of play. Sammy does go down. And Smiths is just trying to dribble that ball across the back line, find himself some boost, but also looking for teammates to pass it to. And the passes just aren't flowing for Deceptors in this game. They're looking very, very flat. They're not hitting their target, and that's certainly showing on the scoreboard as well.
Yep.
With Avant very much in control.
Well, 45 seconds. Has time really run out? Starting to think so as Smith needs to get a goal soon. He'll go up for the ball, a good read, but Kupo and Slurpee just aren't there. They don't have as much trust as you can see from Melbourne Avant. Plitz now going to set it up for Sammy, and that could be all she wrote. For Brisbane Deceptors, not a great week 3, but remember they're still trying to iron out the kinks. They're still trying to get this roster into 100% of what its potential shows. For Melbourne Avant, the roster that's been together forever. This is going to be, forever is 6 months by the way. This is going to be an important win for them. The 3-0, there it is. And no matter what Brisbane Deceptors can do right now, even if it's a confidence booster, Melbourne Avant, their first win in the Elite Series here, and it will be a 3-0.
And they look quite convincing in that match. Brisbane Deceptors never really got going, unfortunately for them. Their passing play looked far better in the second match than it did in the third. Avant looked very much in control from start to finish there. Very few chances created there. Smiths with the only shot on goal for the Deceptors. That's very telling. On the other side of things, you have 8 shots to Avant and a conversion rate with 2. So in terms of what they're doing, they're creating a lot of chances. Deceptors, on the other flip side of things, didn't quite create enough.
You got to remember as well, for Smith and Kubo, this is their first time on stage.
Definitely.
So they put out a pretty convincing performance, even though there were some mistakes across the board. I still think this Brisbane Deceptors lineup have to be complimented. And the best thing out of this series that you can take is that for Avant Gaming, now Plitz doesn't have to retire. Even if he committed to it or not. At 3-0, there's safety there. And I don't know where he got that ball from, but I tell you what. Now I'm more interested in other things.
Yeah.